Hello, welcome back. What we're going to be doing is continuing on with our Wikipedia viewer page. All right, we're working on the freeCodeCamp project. We're using CodePen. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take a look at the API. The code itself, that what we actually need to do is just access the API. That's pretty much it. So in terms of code structure, it's very simple. However, accessing the API is kind of annoying, mainly because the documentation isn't as clear and it's very, very, very comprehensive. So you have to kind of read through a lot of stuff to try to figure out what you're looking for. But luckily, I'm going to show you where some of this stuff is and show you why it's there and how to use it. And then the JavaScript section here should be pretty easy. So I'm going to share my screen. And this is kind of where we left off here. Remember, I just made myself two quick divs and I had some navigation. And at this point, again, you should be able to do your own sort of HTML and CSS to get you to this point. All right. So what I've done is I've just started off with my JavaScript here. Just opened up your jQuery function. Again, this is the shorthand for your document ready function. And I just commented out this right here. This string is generally what is going to get everybody hung up right here. All right. So let's take a look at this. What I have here is I typed the word Billy into my search box, and I need to go out to the API to search that. So if you Google Wikipedia API, you will find this page here. All right, and you can kind of look at what this says and read some of it. So you can get wiki features, data, metadata over HTTP via the URL at api.php. All right. Clients request particular actions by specifying an action parameter, mainly action query. Okay. So that's if you just want to search, you do something like an action query. But we want to open up a new search. You don't just want action query. All right. But let's take a look at some of these examples. So you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see that you have this beginning string here, HTTP, API, PHP. All right, which is what they said was the beginning. Then you have a question mark. Now, a question mark means you're going to have some sort of information that they're looking for after that, specifically for the API. And you can see there's action query, other things, prompt, format, all this kind of stuff. But it all starts with this little string here. This one here has an action of a query and titles equal to main. And then you have all this other stuff here, all right? Including a format. So, all right, so we know I need to take a look at some more of this stuff here. So you can go into the help section, and when you get into the help section, you can kind of see what we're looking for. And what we really want to do is we want to open a new search and search it. In order to do that, you can see that I found the guide here to the action equaling open search. All right, that open search action, which is what we want. And it's going to take some parameters, all right? So that parameter is going to be search string, so whatever string you're searching, and it says this parameter is required. And then it looks like all of these other parameters have default values, and so we don't have to worry about that. Now, here's a limit, which means when we open up a new string, it's going to spit back to us search results, which is what we want. And it's going to be default 10. So if you want more, no more than 500, all right, you can actually add in a limit to this as well and increase the number of results you get for your app, all right, that populate right there. All righty, so that should be pretty easy. Another good thing to note, the default JSON, all right, that's what we want. So that way we don't have to worry about specifying JSON itself. So that seems pretty easy. All we have to do is just tack on all that stuff with the ampersand. And that's it. So you kind of take a look back here, how they tacked everything on. So you have an action equals query and titles equals something, 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 something. So basically, we're going to use that same format. So when we do that, what I've done is there's the word Billy here. Let's say I wanted to search. So it starts off with this first part of this all the way up to API PHP. And again, that came directly from this, right? Then you have a question mark. Then the action that I wanted was open search. Okay, so open search, when we get into the open search, it says we're required to provide a search string. So the parameter is search. All right, so the action was open search, and then we have to search. So and search. And this search equals your search string. And we need this to equal whatever we put in this box. So we're going to be concatenating this before we send this out, okay? The last piece here is this chunk. And this chunk, the ampersand again just means there's something else coming. So it's really just this chunk, callback equals question mark. This is required for this API to work. It wasn't working for me without it. The reason being, I think it has something to do, if you've started some of the back-end stuff and some of the async stuff, you'll kind of notice that you're going to need a callback or a verification where you ask the API for something, and then the API communicates backwards to you and says, are you sure you want this? And I'm sending it here. And then you send another message back to them saying, yes, that's me. I do want to confirm that message. Then they can send information over to you. All right, so it's that three-step process. And in order to do that three-step process, we're just telling the API to generate a generic callback. Think of like just like a standard function that we don't give a name to. That's what this callback equals question mark, just to give it a generic callback. And a callback is nothing more than like an anonymous function, okay? It's just another term for function. So think of it like that. So we're telling the API just to use an anonymous function to send us back to verify where our message is going. I think. Again, if you know better than that or have a much clearer explanation, like I said, I'm just kind of getting started on some of that stuff. And I think that's where this comes from. And that's a mix of Stack Overflow and other tutorial answers as well that I was trying to clarify. But I'm pretty sure that's it. So this is what we need. And that's the hardest part of this whole project is right there. Like I said, this is all simple HTML and CSS. And so how do we actually make this Ajax call? Can we use shorthand? I tried shorthand and failed. I don't know why, but I did, so I failed. So I'm going to go and do your normal Ajax call like we've done previously as well. So I'm going to start off. So we're inside of a jQuery function. Okay, that just says, jQuery. Let's get us started here. We already have the background and everything set. So what we have here, let's take a look at some of our HTML tags to make sure that we're looking in the right spots. So essentially, when someone clicks this search button, I want to do something. We already can type in stuff in here, right? You type stuff in, but when we click search, I want something to happen, okay? I want something to happen. What do I want to happen? All right, that's the question. So how do we do that in jQuery? All right, well, all we have to do is say jQuery, right? Take a look at this button, and that button is a search button, and I believe we even called it search. Yep, there's our button right there. Search. And so we called that button search. And what do we want to do? Well, what I want to do is I want to wait for a click. So wait for a click on this search ID, which happens to be a button. And as soon as that happens, all right, I want you to run a function. So just about everything we do, all right, for our project is going to happen after we click search. Now there's going to be a small piece down here that I'm going to add in a little bit later on. And this, what I want to do is I want to add in type enter on keyboard to search. So that's what's going to go down here. So I also want to do the same thing, whether you're clicking that search or whether you're just hitting the enter on the keyboard. All right. And so basically we're just going to run this function again if we hit enter. So this is pretty simple to do. All right. So let's guess I'll give myself a little bit of space there. So everything we do is just in this one, and it's going to be an Ajax call. So how are we going to do that? All right. Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to store whatever we have here into a variable. All right. Now, we don't necessarily have to do that because we can just use the long form of this. But what this is going to look like is I'm going to say var, we called this ID search term for this. So we're just going to call this variable search term, again, to keep everything the same. All right, keep your variables the same as your IDs, just reads a lot better. All right, unless it completely confuses you, and then you could always change that. Anyway, then what is that going to equal? Well, it's going to equal. I'm going to tell jQuery to take a look at the ID, right? Oops. For search term. All right. And not just look at this, but I want the value of this. Since this is a text entry, it has a value. And that's all you have to do. All right. So now this search term, which is this little thing here, which is form, all right, which has a class of form control. All right. So it's a form, gave us this bootstrap text entry box. Give me the value of that. That's what this is. So that's pretty simple. All right. In case you didn't know how to do that. Right, or you didn't feel like looking that up. There it is. And like I said, all this stuff you can either look up in the jQuery documentation, or you can simple Google, and you'll get answers for this as well. So you don't necessarily have to follow along with videos on these. All right. So then we're just going to make an asynchronous JavaScript XML. Ajax. Ajax request. I think that's what it stands for. Asynchronous JavaScript XML request. All right. So we're going to call for, and what we need here is we're looking for, I think that's the syntax for that. Some stuff in here. Inside this Ajax call, we have to tell it what we want. All right. So we have to say type, and it is a GET request. Right. So some of this might seem familiar if you've done anything else. All right. The URL. So the URL is going to be C Control V. We do that. All right. Now here's the thing. This is just going to give me, let's say, Billy. I don't want Billy here. All right. So what I've done is I've deleted that. I want to concatenate this. All right. So in here, I want to actually use this search term. So you see, I have this search term dot value. I could use this chunk here and concatenate that, but I'm not sure if that's going to work right without actually giving us a variable. So we set it equal to a variable so we can concatenate this string. All right, so we're going to get this plus search term. Oh, you see how that kind of flows nicer? Plus this little callback piece. So we're just going to be concatenating this string with whatever's inside of this box. So in this case, it would say stuff. And if you want on the click, you can see what the search term is. So you can always console log this out if it doesn't work for you. All right. But at this point, that should be fine. Async, we need to set to false, I believe. Put your commas at the end of here. And the data type is JSON. Don't forget your quotes. Good. And then we're going to need, what do? We have success. Well, when we have success, we want to do something, right? So that means we want to run a function. And what do we want a function? What do we want this function to do? Well, I want to run this function with all this data that we get back. Mainly, we're going to get 10 search results back, and it's going to be specified. Well, I'm just going to show you what it looks like because we can read through more documentation if we want. That's going to be kind of annoying, or we'll just see what it gives us and then know what to do with it, right? I'm just going to call this data, right? So we have this function data, and here is where we put our function, right? So there's our function. And so just like this, we're still going on this sort of format for this Ajax here. Alrighty. So after this, we have to handle our errors. All right. So again, if you've done any of the back end stuff yet, or taken a look at Node or Learn You Node or any of this, some of this stuff is going to, be familiar. So we have to handle our error. So what do we do if there's an error? All right. If there's an error, we'll just run a function that takes in our error, and we'll send an alert. How about that? And so error does not compute. All right, that seems pretty good. Error. I think I need another comma there. This is the end of the Ajax, and we're still inside of the click. All right, so that's pretty much it right there. So here we go. So we should have two sections now to fill in. So we don't really need this because that should be the end of our Ajax. So we have to fill in this function right here. So what are we going to do in this area right here? So that's all we really need to do is figure out what do we do once we click and we make this request. And then that's going to be pretty much it. Pretty simple, right? Once this structure here is really the hardest part, is figuring out all of this, getting like you need a type, URL, async, data type. What do you do for success and what do you do for error? All right. And so let's take a look at what we're getting back. At this point, we should get data back. Okay. So I am going to console.log data and see what kind of data. Make sure I save, then I'll run. And I'll type in doggy. And take a look at my console. Oops. I have other stuff in there. Search. Oh, look, you get it looks like we're getting an array with subarrays, and oh geez, that's too much to handle in our console log. Okay, so, oops, I don't want to close console. I just want to clear it. Let's try something else. Instead of this, let's figure out what this is going to give us. So instead of console logging the data, let's console log. Let's not even console log this. Let's just take this, copy, paste, and this one was Billy, right? So what did I put in there? Doggy, and this is what we get. Now, again, I have this Chrome extension right here running, which is JSON view, and it's just going to show us all of our data and organize our JSON data just so it looks better. All right, so here you go. This is what we get. So our data, all right, brackets, right, for array 0 is just going to show up doggy. All right, and so if we have data 1 here, all right, what you're going to get is, it looks like we have the doggy style, all this kind of stuff. So data 1 is the search term results, okay? So these are all the different results you get when you type this in. So this is what we put in. This is the actual search results that come up from Wikipedia. Then in the next position, so in the array 2, what we get is an array of one thing in it. All right. So let's see what this is. So you have doggy, comma. So this is array 0, and this is array 1, 0. All right, because there's another array. It's a subarray. And then this, so look, dog. And then array 2, 0 here goes along with this. See how these things are the same? This is the actual description of this result here. And then it looks like this right here, this array 3, 0 then, is going to be the actual address of it. And then array 1, 1 is going to be doggy style. Array 1, 2, 1 is going to be the what it is about. And array 3, 1 is going to be the actual excuse me, the web address or the Wikipedia link to that. That's pretty good, right? So they all line up. So array 1, 2, and 3 have the parameter, the result, and then the address. Cool. So they're all in the same position in an array, which makes our life pretty easy to be able to go and use this. So I'm going to keep this open here just to keep referring back to, so we can go in. So, and if we want to verify what I've said out loud, what you can do is let's console log then instead of data. Let's take this data and let's console log out, let's say the data 1. Save, run. Use doggy again. All right, so there is the 1. All right, the first position in the array. Notice there's that list. So there's doggy style. So notice that's the first position in the array, which gives us all of this. So how do we isolate a dog out of this? So it's just going to be, so instead of 1, so let's go to 1, 0. Save, run. And we should get that dog. So this is what we had before, and now we've isolated just dog. All right. So what else can we do here? All right. So you can kind of see how I'm using this to my advantage here. And now, so if I want to know the description of just dog, all right, it should be the very first position of the next array, right? So what is, go back, and let's take a look at the next section, 2. I would expect that when I console log out 2, I get this whole section of stuff here. Do I get that whole section of stuff there? Well, let's see. Oh, look, I do. And again, what we want is just the normal dog like the K9 should be. And again, that same 0th position in that array. Save, run. And so if I do this, oh, look, I get just what's in that first position of that array for dog. So how they all match up. Cool, they all match up. That's exactly what I want to know. So if you can't guess where I'm going with this, I don't need to console log. And again, you can play with that console log a little bit and make sure that you're getting that same data and all your data is lining up the way you want. Okay, so you get a search. So you get the first search term that you get spit back, then you get a description, and then the third one is going to be the web address of that. All right, so I'm not going to type that in. You can kind of see it here. I'm going to get this web address. So 0, 0, and 0 for the first result. The second result is 1, 1, 1. Nice. Success. This is exactly what we want. So how do we do this? Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to take, well, there's something else I'm going to need to do right here first, but I'll come back to that when it's required. So I'm going to leave a little bit of space there, and I'm going to show you why. But let's just start off with something simple. Let's just do a for loop to iterate through this data and use that data to populate our search results div. Okay, that's all I want to do. And we know that we have 10 results because that's the default. All right, so the default is 10. That's what we have in the it's all in the documentation. Okay, 10. So I'm going to do a for loop 10 times. That's all I have to do. So again, you've followed my videos before. You should know that for, all right, oops, for var I equals 0, right? As long as I is less than. Now we want exactly 10 results. Since we want 10 results, we can use all 10. So as long as I is less than 11 or less than or equal to 10, because we're going to use all 10 results here. And then we're going to increment I. So I, again, this is your standard for loop, all right? The one that we've used all through the JavaScript challenges. There, that's what I want. All right, so I have my for loop. And so what do I want to do with my for loop? It's pretty simple. All I want to do is put in something here. All right, so there's my search results. I want stuff to go below it. So I want to append each search result that I get. All right, so all I'm going to do is append. All right, so I want to append. What did I call this? So let's go back here. Let's make sure what I called this. Search results, H1. All right, so I want to have to make sure that you append this. So you have to have a name to it. All right, so if you don't have a name to that, you're going to have a hard time. All right, so our search results, I actually did not put a name in this. That's why. So let's do, let's add in something to overwrite or something to append. So I don't want to overwrite the search results. I'm just going to put in a span here. All right, /span. And again, that's going to go after my search results. And inside of that span, I'm going to make sure I have an ID so I can target that in jQuery. And that's going to equal, call it results. We'll call it results. All right. So now, right under search results, I'm just going to keep appending or putting stuff one after another, making a list under this span results. All right. So let's see what that's going to look like. So we can target that now. So I'm going to target in jQuery. All right. It's going to look for, say, look for results. All right. And once we have results, I want to append, all right, or just add stuff to the bottom. Here's where we're going to get a little tricky. I want the first thing to be our, I want it to be a large link, okay? So I want it to be a link to the Wikipedia article, all right? And I want that to open up in a new window. So generally, you would have something like an anchor tag, all right? Just like you would do in your HTML, because we're appending, so we're adding this in. So we have an anchor tag, right, with an href here, and I'm going to set that equal to the web address, right? So the web address we have here, all right, is stored somewhere. So do we remember where it was stored in? All right, so remember 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's going to give us the entire list. All right, so I don't want the entire list. I want wherever we are. So we're going 1 through 10. So I want the first one. So it's going to be this 1. Okay, and then I want the title of that to be dog or whatever this is in the first position. And then below that, I want the description 3 or 2. So 1, 2, and 3. And again, if I'm not making sense as I'm talking, you can go back and console log this stuff out and see what exactly you're getting. So I want to append this HF, and then I'm going to concatenate. And again, I can store all of these things in variables if I really want, but I'm not going to, because we can just say data 3 I. Okay, and so when our loop starts, it's going to be 0. All right, then it's going to go to 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. So let's take a look at this. All right, so we want it to be 0, or the first thing there. All right, that's how it's going to start. So data 3, 0. Data 3 here, 0, is going to be this Wikipedia dog. Nice. All right. And then that's what the href equals. And then I want to put a space in. And what I want to do is make sure it opens in a new window, right? So if you want it to open in a new window, it's a target. equal. Now, we're using single quotes to begin with, so let's make sure we use double quote blank, right? So that one's going to be a little bit tricky there. So again, if you're going to be using all single quotes or all double quotes, remember to use an escape quote there, or else it's not going to work. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to end. I want this to be an H1, so I'm going to end the H1 tag here. And since I still want that to be an H1 tag, did I end this? I'm going to get rid of. There we go. Because I want my the names there to be big. So I want the titles for the results to be large, and I want them to stay as H1 tags. That's why I did that. All right. And then I want to add in. I'm going to need to concatenate again. All right. So after that, I want to. Let's see. Do I want to end that H1 there? What I meant to say was this. Let's see. So that's going to be the link is going to be the href data 3. I actually don't want to end this here. Because there's no text there. That's just saying that that's the href. Now I need to add in. Let's see, is that the end of our anchor tag? Okay, there we go. All right, see how I'm getting a little confused here. I was going to add in an H tag, and then since I took away that H tag, I'm just going to let it flow through, so I don't have to do that. Yeah, that's right. So now I want the actual name, and the name is in data 1 I. After data 1 I plus. Now we can end the H1. I want to make sure that the text itself is in that H1 tag. I was ending it in the anchor tag, which is the wrong thing to do. Before even the right after the target blank, which isn't really going to help us. And you have to remember to close your anchor tag. Close your anchor tag there. All right. There we go. So let me save this. And I'm going to add more to this here. I'm going to run it. Look, there we go. We have all of these dog doggy. There's your search results. This is what I get. So far it's working. We have these links, which click out. So that's exactly what we want to start with anyway. All right. So let's do this. All right. So I'm going to have to remember to add in line breaks and descriptions to all these. So after this anchor tag, I'm going to add in an H3 element. So anchor tag. I'm going to add in an H3. And then here, I'm going to add in the actual description. And that description is in that second position in the array. So it's going to be data 2 I. And again, if this is making less sense, go back and console log out each one of these datas and make sure that you know which one of these things I'm accessing. Because right now I'm accessing this. So here's 2I for 1. There's 2I if 2I is 0, I mean. There's 2I1, so on and so forth. It's the first position. Data 1. All right. And then I need to close things off. I need to close the H3, and I want to have a carriage return there. So let's go ahead and close the H3, which means it's going to be smaller. That's what I want. No, it's lowercase h3. Right. And we're going to come in here, and I'm going to try to put in a break, and let's see if that works. Let's see what that looks like. Break. Save. Run. Huggy. There we go. That's looking pretty good, right? However, search results, I'm going to put a line break in there. So again, I'm going to fix this as I go. So search results. All right. Try break. Save, run. I'll put in 2 breaks. Break. Put another line break in there. Break. And again, I'm just adjusting this as I go. And again, this is what you can do. There we go. All right. I don't like that these are blue. I don't like that these are blue. Nope, no, I don't. We're pretty much, as you can see, I think we're pretty much done, except for 2 little styling things. One's a styling thing, one's one more functional thing here. I'm going to come in here because I just don't like the way that this looks, okay? I don't want that blue. I just want them to be white. So I just want my anchor tags to have a color of white. So when I do this, there we go. So search results. Search results. Pull in there. And I just put in a search result. And a lot of times when I type this in, so there's search results, see there's dog. Now when I highlight it, that's what I want. Ooh, that's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. All right, and notice how my text is bigger. You can also change your text to whatever you want. I have 1.5 EM on my font size, so I just up the size of everything. So I'm assuming that this is all that's really there. That's why my text is bigger. Again, it's a styling thing. You can style the way you want to style. Mine's doggy style, right? Just like it's a good album, you know. If you want to know what it is, you can click here. See that? Check that out. Anyway, I digress. Where am I at? See, I mess around and I forget where I'm supposed to be. Oh, I want to hit enter on the keyboard for a search. Say, let's not get too distracted here. So what we can do is we can just essentially what we're looking for is a key press, right? So I want to take this search term, and which is what I have now. Oops. Which is what I called this, right? And I want to look for someone to be typing in here and then pressing. How do I do that? All right, well, that's a good question. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go and tell jQuery to look at this thing again. Again, search term is good enough. And I'm going to find key press. Right? And that means it's going to be, and again, I found this is Stack Overflow, by the way, in case you're wondering how I find this stuff out. I was like, oh, wait, how do I do this? I know you should be able to do it when I hit enter, right? Function and just anything generic. So like E is fine. And then I want to run a function. Right? And then all it's going to do is say if whatever it's looking for, whatever key press it's looking for, all right? And the key press that I'm looking for is a specific key, right? And that key is going to have a key code. And the key code for the enter or carriage return key is 13. All right, now you know. The more you know. So if someone is in the search term and they key press key code 13, all I want to do is rerun the search. I want to click the search button. Well, how do you click the search button? Tell jQuery, click the search button. How do I do that? click, there's the search button, and then that's it. That's simple. Save. Again, jQuery, go to that search button and click it. All right, and run that click function. What's that click function? Everything we have up here. Here's that search term, click. Then it's going to say, oh, run this function in here. We do have one more thing to clean up. All right, so there's doggy, enter key. What happens now? Look, all of this stuff. What happens if I type in key? Oh no, we don't see anything. Why not? What's going on here? Well, what we have to do is we have to clear out all of that stuff before we run anything else. So how do we clear out all of that stuff in that next div down there? What we need to do is we need to run something. All right. So soon as we, before we even run our for loop, so you're talking about right here. I'm going to put a little space in here. All right. So you know where we are. I need to go and grab that. What did we call it? I think we called it results. Yeah. I'm going to grab this whole results area here. There we go. Yeah, it's right there. So I'm going to grab my results. All right. And I'm going to take that HTML. I'm going to modify that HTML, whatever's there. All right. And as soon as we click again or hit enter again, I'm just going to put an empty string in there. All right. Which means it's all going to get cleared out. So I should be able to run this over and over and over again. All right. So let's go to a full page. We should be able to have our dog. All right, and then there we go. There's our dog. Okay, there we go. And there we go. Then we should be able to reload. And I clicked out of that. Alrighty. There we go. So we no longer have to worry about getting errors at the bottom of that. So with that, we're pretty much done. So again, I know that was a long one, but hopefully all that stuff was helpful, and I'll see you all next time.